Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how I make my memorial crosses. Yeah, I've got 3 videos on how to make them already, but that was by making them by hand. I'm going to show you how I make them now on the CNC from Carbide Create, the Shapeoko 4 XXL. I am selling the plans for these, the digital files, as well as MDF templates if anybody wants to make these themselves but do not have a CNC. They'll be made out of 1/2-inch MDF. If you're interested in ordering one of these pre-made, I do ship them. There will be a new video on the channel, an updated video on how to assemble these here shortly, and I'm going to walk you through how I make these using Carbide Create. Now, if anyone has any questions, something I left out that you need to know about, by the time this video is over, drop them in the comments. I try my best to answer every one that comes through. So, stay tuned and hope you enjoy. Now, as you can see there, I cut one piece 25 inches and I cut one piece 19 inches. This will be our crossbar. It will actually be 18 inches. That gives you a little buffer room if you're using a CNC. If you're doing it with a jigsaw, you can cut them exactly 18 inches for the crossbar and 24 inches for the upright. Then for your heart or whatever you choose to make your centerpiece, you're going to need to take one of these pieces. These are a 5.5 by 8 foot pressure treated pine board from Lowe's. I can show you the tag on it so that you'll know exactly what you are looking for. Come on, focus. I'm trying here. Okay, I think it came through good enough. But it is a 1 by 6 by 8 board. It actually measures 1.5 wide. But you need to take that and then cut you 2 pieces. Don't have to be this big. This was just a couple of drops I had, so I went ahead and glued them together. You need a minimum of a 10 by 10. This will actually come out to be 11 wide by however long you choose to do it. I usually try to make my centerpieces, the hearts anyway, I try to make them 10 by 10, 10 tall, 10 wide. That allows me to be able to make the engraving as large as possible to where people can see it well. I don't want to put a little bitty tiny engraving on a cross and then nobody be able to see it on them. So that's what you need. You need to glue up 2 pieces, cut them 10 long, joint the center, the edge on them, glue them together. If you don't have a joiner, you can pick up a hand plane from a flea market. Take your 2 pieces. I'll show you here. Take your 2 pieces, clamp them in a vise together to where the 2 edges are parallel with each other. Plane them with the hand planer until they become smooth and coplanar with each other. And then you will be able to glue them together and have a good glue up. I've done that with larger boards that are too big for my little joiner. So keep that in your mind, especially if you're using a contractor saw. I've tried the level trick and all that. It doesn't give, mine anyway, doesn't give a smooth enough cut to glue them directly up right off the saw. So I prefer either jointing them with a hand plane or using a jointer. So I'm going to get them set up on a CNC and we'll get going on that part. Hey guys, now I wanted to bring you onto the computer here so I could show you what I've already got made up. I have design files for these that I actually have made up. I'm not sure how to go about listing them. If anyone is interested in them, you can email me. Splinter Fingers Woodworking, it's all together, all little letters, at gmail.com. We can work out a payment over PayPal, and then I will email the files to you. That would probably be the easiest route. And then if you have some issues with them or something, I'll try to help you out best I can with that. But see, I'm running Carbide Create, the 648 version. Last time I had upgraded to the 7 something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I upgraded to that, and I had trouble with it running my machine. There was a glitch in it, and I never did bother trying to upgrade again, because it put me down for the entire day because I was trying to figure out what the problem was, and it took most of the day before I figured out it was the program. So, old story, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and get the file loaded up here. I've got all my files on a USB drive that I use for everything, my patterns, my Inkscape, my CNC designs, and all of that. So we're going to go into there, and I've got, since my crosses are a bigger seller than most of my other things as of now, as far as CNC related, I keep them in a separate file. The only problem is I gotta find it. Just a minute. There it is. Cross. I wonder how many of you was looking at it and saying, right there it is. But anyway, here we go. I've got pointy cross. I will see if I can insert a picture here. I've got squared. I'll insert another picture. And then I got the most popular, which is my tulip pattern. We're going to go ahead and get the tulip loaded in here to Carbide. And this was a cross that I done, a pet cross that I done recently. So it's already done and over with. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that one out. I have them backed up on another file to where I can do them whenever. Now, this is already set up for the thickness. The ones I've gotten so far of these pressure treated boards are 0.75 thick. Now, you might want to check yours when you get them just to double check and make sure. But I have which I can't find them at the moment, of course, but I have a set of the cheap Harbor Freight digital calipers. They work plenty well for what I'm doing here. I ain't doing something with a lot of tight tolerances and everything. If it don't cut all the way through, it's no biggie. I just take a little multi-tool, make me a starter hole, take the jigsaw, finish them out, and then the round over takes care of anything that is left on them. Now, they are right at 5.5, 5 3/8 wide, and then you got 25 long. So I'm back. By 25 wide. That's for the large section. So what we're going to do is and I've got it for softwood and Shapeoko 4, which is what mine is. And I got a 1/4 of an inch 0.25 for the retract height. That's how much it raises up when it goes to move to another spot. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And the way I've got my files set up, it's got the big bar, which is the up and down. It's got the pocket path and then the cutout. We got small bar, then we got the heart, and then we got the cat paw, which was the one that I just deleted a second ago. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that too right now. The centerpieces is on another file. I try to keep them over there. It makes it easier. They are as simple as they can be to make yourself. You just find a shape you are wanting to use. You use the trace tool to trace it out. You put your writing on it, and you're basically ready to go as soon as you put in what bit you're going to use, the V-carve, all that stuff. But we're going to go ahead with this big bar first, and the pocket tool is set for 3/8 of an inch deep. Now that's a little bit too deep, so I'm going to change this. I'm going to actually put it at 3.25. That's a little bit less. Actually, let's see. Give me just a minute here. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to leave it at 0.75. It may be a little bit over far as how far they go together. It doesn't really hurt anything. It just makes it to where they still fit good and tight, but they just want to slide together a little farther than you would normally like. But it doesn't affect the cross any or anything to do with it. Once it's put together, it does not even show. So we're going to leave it at 375 because my boards are reading exactly 7.5 thick, which is 3/4. So we're going to leave it exactly 3/8, which is half of that for our half lap joint in these. And I do use tabs. I am a firm believer in the tabs. I got a little oscillating multi-tool from Walmart. I'll show it to you here in a few minutes. They are super inexpensive. I picked mine up on clearance. Harbor Freight sells them in the Warrior brand. You can get corded or you can get cordless. Mine is a cordless, but it was, like I said, it was on clearance. They was clearancing them out at the time. Cordless is a big help on doing this stuff, and it doesn't have to be a fancy big brand name. Mine was only 25 bucks. Came with a battery charger and the tool and a blade, the sanding pad, and a scraper. So, I mean, get a cheap one just for this here because you're only going to use it about 10 minutes every time you use it. Doesn't make a difference on the brand. But I put the tabs at 0.2. That may seem a little thick to some of you, but the reason why I do that, I don't run these boards through my planer before I cut them. So sometimes they got a little bit of a rise in them. Some of them may have a dip in them. They may not lay exactly flat. So if they was to cut deeper than they're supposed to in a spot or whatever it may be, that way they are held down regardless. So I do 0.4724, which is just under a half an inch wide. Then I do 0.2, which is just under a 1/4 of an inch thick for my tabs. And I've got 4, 8, 10, which I'm actually going to take these two off the ends. If you can keep away from putting them on end grain, that's better because they don't seem to hold as well and they leave an uglier spot when you go to clean them up. So if you have to put more on the edge grain or side grain here, just try to stay away from end grain. So we're going to go ahead and get this loaded up. I always resave it every time after I go in and I check it. We're going to go back here to our crosses, our cross file. Right there. And you can see we go back into Tulip. And I've already got the DXF or the G-code files here. So we're just going to click Tulip Big Bar. It's going to come up with the prompt that it's already exists. Do you want to replace it? Just click yes. Then we are going to not close this. We're just going to shrink it down. That way if we need to check something, that file's already pulled up. Or when we get ready to do the small bar, it's already there. Now we're going to go into Carbide Motion, get it brought up. I've already got my CNC hooked into the computer. I'm going to click Connect to Cutter. And my CNC came with the bit setter. When Carbide and I partnered up, they sent me the bit setter with it, and it is a absolute joy to have. And then we're going to initialize our machine. You can hear it over here. Zeroing out. It's going to prompt for me to insert a tool. This is the best time if you're cutting a heart first, and you always want to do your text before you cut out the shape of the heart. So when it prompts for you to insert a tool, even if you've already got a tool in it, go ahead and put the next bit you're going to use in it. That way it will go ahead and it will zero out and everything with the bit you're going to use next. It's already got a 1/4 inch downcut bit in it, and that's what I'm going to use for these. So we're going to go ahead and click continue. It is zeroing out right now. Now I'm going to go ahead and load in the file that we're going to be using, which is there. Let's see, we go to CNC Designs, Cross, Tulip, Big Bar. It'll come up and he'll show you what bit is used. What we got here is at the 201, which is a 1/4 inch upcut. I don't change it between upcut and downcut. They both cut perfectly fine on the same settings. I never change the settings in Carbide Create on my bits. It may go a little slower than it could possibly go. You could always, there's a lot of them that speeds them up. If you feel comfortable doing that, go right ahead. It doesn't slow it down that much for me with what I do, so I leave them the way they are. Now we're going to go to jog, and Ash, would you like to measure your tool before jogging? Always click no because it's already measured the tool. Now if you change the tool before you jog there, you do need to go ahead and let it remeasure it. Now we're at rapid position here. I'm going to go ahead and click for center. Let it go and move this the axis back. I'm going to get my big bar piece put in, and I'll show you that, and then we'll get started on the cutting. Got a little visitor in the shop this morning. This is my Chow Chow Dixie. She just had her trimming for this year, and she's in the shop this morning. So we're going to get this thing zeroed out now. We've already got our 25-inch board clamped down on our machine here. Let me get this thing to where it'll set. My tripod ain't hardly tall enough, so I had to set it up in a chair. So yeah, there's that. Now okay, now we've got our 25-inch board here. This is going to be our big bar. Now I've only got 2 clamps on this. This board did have a twist in it. That doesn't really affect anything as long as you can clamp it down to where the twist is pulled down out of it. That's how I've done a majority of them. I made 9 of them for our family member's grave for Memorial Day this year. So that's how the majority of those was done. If you have a CNC and your computer is set up in a place that is a little bit away from where you do your work, actually working with your CNC, it is in your best interest to get you a controller. Now this one came from Five Below. It's a local store here in Eastern Kentucky. I don't know if they're countrywide or what, but they have these. They're $5 and some change. It just replaces your mouse and your keyboard and stuff. It's got all the keys on it. It's got a mouse pad. You've got your directional buttons, all of that. It works really well. Runs off of, I believe it is 2 AAAs. Yeah, 2 AAA batteries. I've had it for a few months. It works great. So, what we're going to do on our computer over here, let me get the recording for the screen back up over there. Okay, now unpause the recording. Okay, now what we're going to do here is we're going to zero this off. I have the 0 set to do it off the left hand front corner. So what we're going to do is we are going to go back to here. We're still on rapid position. We're going to click done. You can actually go to the rapid position though and bring this to the closest rapid point of your piece. So now on the controller, we're going to click 4. That will increase the speed on your carbide motion to the fastest moving speed. Then we're going to use our directional pads, and we're just going to start tramming it till we get to our Z point, or X and Y point. Then we got the greater than and lesser than. If you remember from school, the buttons here, those work your up and down, your Z axis. And then we're going to slow this thing down. Once we get close to it, we're going to slow it down to number 2, which is the 0.01. And we're going to slowly bring this over till we get to where we want to be. And we're going to adjust the up and down and the front to back until we get it zeroed the way it needs to be. And this board happens to have a little bit of a chip taken out of that corner at the top there. So we're just going to get it the best we can. Then we're going to go back to our computer here. Click set 0. We're going to 0 all. Click done. Go up here, click run. Click start job. Click start. It's going to come up and then it's going to prompt for the bit as listed on the file to be inserted. Like I said, we already have our 1/4 inch downcut bit into our machine. We're going to go ahead and click resume. It's going to come over here, remeasure the length of our bit, zero it out. This bit setter makes it really great when you're changing between bits during the same job. No more saving multiple files to do the same job. It does all the changes for you. Now, I'm going to get ready and start this thing. We've got it set for speed 3 on our carbide router, which is 8,000 RPMs. 18,000, sorry. 18000 RPMs. We're going to go ahead and turn this on. And I'm going to put this into a speed thing to where you won't have to set and watch it for 20 minutes or 17 minutes according to the cut file. It will take just a couple of minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set it for that and then let it go. Okay guys, now as you can see here, I have reworked the size of the workspace piece that I'm going to be cutting out that I showed you a few minutes ago. Is 10.5 by 19. Now that's what I put in here, and as you can see, the heart doesn't fill it up, but that's just for me to be able to get the alignment right. I have stepped over about an inch from the end. This board does have a bit of a cup in it, so it doesn't break out. That's the reason why I put a little extra perimeters around it. Now, as far as the names, the James and Brooke, that's going to be cut first. It's going to be cut with a 60-degree V-bit using the advanced V-carve function of Carbide Create. And then, after it's done with that, it will come back and it will cut the contour, which is the outside shape of it. And as you can see, I went a little nuts with the tabs, but that's because of the cup in the board. I don't want to take a chance on this thing breaking loose on me. Materials ain't cheap, and I don't want to waste no more than I absolutely have to. Tabs are easy to cut. Tabs are easy to clean up. I'd rather have 15 tabs around something as to take a chance on it breaking loose. I've tried the double-sided tape. I have never had any luck with it, so I prefer to go nuts with the tabs. They are set to the 0.2 on the thickness as the others was, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this. Now I'm just going to put in customer centerpiece. Then we're going to load up our Carbide Motion, load new file, customer centerpiece, jog. Now we do need to change our bit. So I didn't think about that for a start, but we're going to go ahead and do that. How we're going to do that, we're going to click load new tool. It's going to come forward and prompt for us to put the 60-degree V-bit into the tool. Let me do that. I'll be right back. Okay. Now we have our 60-degree V-bit put in. We're going to go ahead and click continue. It's probing right now. Tell you what, my allergies are flat and messed up on me. That's all the sniffing. That's from pine and grass mowing. We're right at the beginning, getting ready to turn into summer. Okay, now it done the probing for that, so we're not going to bother to measure tool. We're going to go to rapid position, to current XY. Then we're going to go ahead and current Z axis plus 6 millimeters. That gets us close to where we need to be. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this Z the same way we did it the first time there and get this thing cutting, and then I will come back when it's all done. I will set it up for it to time lapse the heart so you can see the V bit doing its work and it cutting the heart, and then we will get started putting this thing together. So I'll be right back. Essentially, you need 1 1/4 and 1 5/8 screws. What I done was I took the Hyper Tough brand oscillating multi-tool right there. That's what I was telling you, that you can find them at Walmart. I cut all of the tabs that were on these pieces for the big bar, the small bar, and the heart. Cut them out. Then I took spray paint, and they've raised the price of spray paint at Walmart to $5, almost $6 a can now, even for primer. And I go through quite a bit of primer for my signs and whatnot, my paper towel holders and everything. So I found this at Lowe's. It is their Project Source spray paint. It is a flat paint, flat black. That's only color they have, and you need the flat or an ultra matte or matte or like a primer for doing this type of stuff, because it won't gum up your sandpaper as badly as like a gloss paint. But what I done was I went in, I sprayed the entire front, all of the letters in, I sprayed all the edges. Then I went back and I sanded the front with 80 grit, then 120, then got all the paint off the back with 80 grit. Now, what you need to do then is you need to figure out which edge you're going to point up on your crosses. Which part would be up. Well, the crossbar, you ain't got much of an option. But the crossbar, this one here, the short little bar, you pick out which direction you're going to have it. And when I go to ship them, I put an arrow on them to indicate that way is up. Now, what we'll do is we'll take and we'll put these two pieces together like that. You go ahead and you start 4 of the shorter screws, which are 1 1/4. Go ahead and start them. Zip them through until you can just start seeing the point right there out from my finger. You can see it, where you can just start seeing the point. Do all 4 of them that way. You can do this with a regular screwdriver as well if you don't have a impact. Then we're going to take our heart here, and we are going to get it on there and move it around until it falls into those screws fall into the holes. If it's not poking through enough, just give it a little extra bump. And you can look down through the gap between the heart and the cross to get it lined up. Then we're going to go ahead and send those 4 home. Like so. And if you put them in just a little bit too far to where they're poking through the front, it doesn't hurt anything. Where it's so small, it won't be noticeable. You take, get you a cheap file and you can file those off, or you can back them up a little bit, whichever one you prefer to do. Now, on our stake, which is on the goes on the back, top screw is going to be 1 5/8 inches. That's going to be the only long screw in the kit. The next 3 down will be the shorter screws, the 1 1/4 inches again. We're going to do them the same way. Tighten them down till the points are showing through good. Line our upper one and our lower one, and that will seat in to the back. Then just drive them home. And there you have it, all put together. Now, where this stake ends, it ends quite a ways from the top. That's kind of hard to hit with a hammer if you're driving it into harder ground. So this piece, which is the cutoff from that, will be included in the shipping kit. When placed on top, it brings it up to the top. You can put that there, hammer on it, not risk hitting your cross or anything else. This here will protect your cross. And there is lines on the back here. You can see right there and there, as well as down here on each side. Those are rough alignment marks to where you can see roughly where everything goes. But this will be included. All the hardware will be included in a little packet that will be shipped with it, and it will be completely disassembled. Now, to anyone that wants to make these themselves, like I said, I have the G-code files for Carbide Create. If anyone is interested in these, I can, if you do not have a CNC, I have 1/2 inch MDF. I can cut templates for these to where you can cut them out rough with a jigsaw, then attach the MDF templates down to it, and then router them smooth. Or if you have a CNC, you can email me at splinterfingerswoodworking@gmail.com, and we can work out a payment through PayPal, and then I'll send you the G-code file, and you can carve these out for yourself. But these have been a really good seller. I started out doing them by hand with a jigsaw and just sanding the edges of them. That was before I had the CNC, and I was making them out of cedar for a long time. If you'll look at the other videos on the channel, I have I think it's a 2 or 3 part series on how to make these completely by hand with a jigsaw and sanding and all that stuff. But cedar hasn't been as readily available to me recently, as well as the finish doesn't hold up in the bright sunlight that some of the local graveyards around here get. So I started going with the pressure treated here, and the pressure treated holds up, seems to hold up quite a bit better, and they don't require a finish. They'll just naturally gray over time. You can always hit these with like a Thompson's water seal for extra protection if you want, or you can put a clear coat on them just to kind of try to protect the color of them. But it will eventually, from my experience with the Helmsman spar urethane, it will last about 2 years before it needs recoating, and recoating means you have to sand it completely back down and start from scratch on clear coat. That's a lot of work. These here, they seem to be holding up pretty good so far, and if anyone's interested in ordering one of these, if you're watching this and you would rather just order one as to make one yourself, you can get in contact with me on Facebook. Linktree's in the bio. You can go through there to Facebook and send me a message, and I can make them for you and ship them to you whichever way you wish. So we'll see you on the next one, and hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, I am selling the designs as well as the MDF templates, and they are made out of 1/2-inch MDF. The only thing that it would be shipping and everything. I'll have to add all that in. So, but if anybody's interested, just give me a shout, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.